Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for inviting us to address you. And I will take some minutes to explain why this panel is important. And I'm sort of nervous, not because I'm standing here at the stage, because after working in Aapresid, I've done this several times, addressing an audience. I'm nervous because of the current situation of these technologies that is spraying with drones in Argentina. We are at the point in time where we are still in the early adoption stage, though the technology has been available in the country for 6 or 7 years now. But what do we find if you go to the commercial sector? The challenges, there are many challenges in the commercial area, so it's difficult to go into the field of spraying drones. But what we see is that we have advantages with spraying drones. There are many advantages. There are, of course, limitations, several. All the sprayings in the future will be done with drones and not with terrestrial or aerial pieces of equipment. And this is what Augusto and Fernando will discuss. But I believe there are no statistics about the number of spraying drones that have been sold in Argentina. I believe there are about 5,000 spraying drones available in Argentina, and I believe it's a very important time for us in this industry. I manage a company that provides services using drones, and we should be very responsible and tidy because we are at a stage when this will start growing and becoming more widely used, or we are in a stage at which we may damage or destroy technology due to a lack of knowledge or information. So this is an introduction. We'll talk about opportunities for large spraying companies, how to work to achieve the best possible results, and learn from the experience of countries that have adopted this technology before Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay, for example. So Augusto Scaglia, he's the director of Dragul, and Fernando Carvalho, he's a researcher at Agroefectiva. So I give you the floor, Augusto. Take the floor, please. Well, good afternoon. I'm really pleased to participate in this panel to share with you what we have been doing in our country, and to share this panel with Fernando and Martin. We have known one another for many years. So this is the motto of our company is continuous commitment towards agriculture and innovation. And now I'm going to talk about the system that is under development and that has its own identity. This is my agenda. I'm going to talk about the technology system in a small country, the description of the company, or the history of the use of drones in Uruguay, actors that have driven the use of this technology in production system, and some standards and guidance and potential uses of the technology in our country, Uruguay. So we have a technology system that uses air spraying equipment. Well, what kind of system have we developed? We have developed a system that uses aerial spraying equipment, that is spraying drones. Talking about how this has been adopted in our country, adoption is slow or moderate. We have been working in this for 3.5 years. using spraying drones in Uruguay. Uruguayan farmers are more conservative when it comes to new technologies and methods, and that's why adoption is slow, but adoption is getting faster. The speed of adoption is getting faster. But our company is devoted to this technology. This is our field of work, and we have a lot of expertise, and we work with a very professional team that has the right skills and training to develop the system. Well, this is where our country is. The latitude is 30 to 35, longitude 53 to 58. This tells you about the weather. It's a humid weather. We have 4 clearly different seasons. Rainfall is high. The variability is between 1,000 and 1,400 millimeters a year, and therefore the geography is sort of quite even. We don't have high mountains, some hills at the most. Here you may have a look at the space distribution. Mostly our people are devoted to cattle breeding, dryland, farming, rice. Rice represents only 1% of the total crops in Uruguay, and lots of spraying is used for rice crops. We are a young company that understands the needs of the farmers, and therefore we want to introduce technologies, and we believe this tool should be used to improve their work and make it easier. Our main pillar is proximity, dialogue, and consulting. This is what we provide. The differentiating factor is that we are the official distributors of the brand, and we provide excellent services and technical assistance for the product we sell. Our mission is to improve efficiency and sustainability in agriculture by using state-of-the-art technologies, and our vision is to become leaders in the development of spraying using technologies that make use of drones for agriculture. This is the distribution of our branches and offices in Uruguay. We are present throughout the country, so we provide top services, and this has helped the technology to grow and become disseminated. A brief history of our company. I carried out a market analysis in 2020 when I got to know the spraying drones in 2021. I started with praying and gathering more knowledge, and then back then we identified the need of it was necessary to set up a company to sell the equipment, the spraying equipment, and in 2022 we introduced the first drones in Uruguay. Starting then, we began to gather know-how and knowledge. So the adoption of technology has grown exponentially. In 2023, we began to develop new partnerships to improve our market positioning, and today our market share in Uruguay is 80%. This is the distribution of Uruguay. Our company, DJ Agriculture, has an 80% share, market share, as I have already said. And this goes hand in hand with the training we provide, the workshops. So we not only sell products, we also look at the sustainable relationship. We provide training on spraying, on the management of the equipment, sustainable practices, partnership with spraying companies, etc. Which were the main actors driving the development? The main factors were, well, drones complement what we already have. We believe that technology is here to add something to the production system, not to compete with anything in place already. The weather conditions of the year for aerial application Well, this has been important, and there are many benefits, and we have run tests, and we can see that technology is very useful. It facilitates the work in the fields. Key changes where we have created strategic alliances with distribution teams, professional knowledge in the company. We want to create more information and real data on the technology. We face some obstacles, which are the periods of low inclusion and the arrival of competitors. The impact and the use of technology. In Uruguay, agriculture, we have quite an important presence in agriculture. We are trying to move into the cattle breeding area by offering products to spray pastures, grazelands, and forestry. We have 100% of penetration in the forestry industry in Uruguay, both for the spraying of baits for ants and some other kinds of sprayings. Guidelines and regulations. In Uruguay, there is a regulatory agency that regulates the INASIA and the Ministry of Cattle Breeding, Agriculture and Fisheries for the spraying of phytosanitary products, and the rules and regulations are quite simple. People need a special operator license, DOAD, up to 25 kilograms. That would be A category, and they need a license to operate a drone. That would be B. In Uruguay, our regulations include devices from 25 to 150 kilograms. That would be class 2 pieces of equipment, and operators need to get a certification through taking workshops, and they need these licenses to manage drones and to apply phytosanitary products. In the MGAP, through the General Directorate of Agricultural Services, the person who buys a drone needs to register in the Registry of Operators, which in Uruguay includes also those people who do aerial on terrestrial applications. And the operators also need to have a special application licenses, and they are granted by the Ministry of Cattle Breeding. Of course, from the legal point, the IRS in Uruguay also sets up some regulations, and the technology potential. Well, nowadays, the capacity of equipment, of the pieces of equipment, is improving. I was talking to somebody in our booth earlier on, and drones increase their capacity, and they may be used in a more sustainable fashion, so that they may be used for different purposes by farmers. Nowadays, drones are quite affordable, and this is a pro. It's a versatile tools. They are not as expensive as other tools. Better results are achieved, and they get more and more attractive, and people are increasingly using this technology, and the drones are fully aligned to sustainable systems. This is an overview. I don't want to take too much time from Fernando, because I believe he has many interesting things and a lot of interesting information to share with you. Good afternoon. I will try and speak in Portuñol, a combination of Portuguese and Spanish. I speak Portuguese, so I apologize for the mistakes. I'm going to talk about application quality, and I would like to make a comparison between applications using drones or terrestrial pieces of equipment to be able to analyze the quality of drone spraying processes. Our company is headquartered in São Paulo, Brazil. We have a branch office in the north. We also work in Nicaragua, Guatemala, Argentina. We were working in Los Toldos 2 or 3 years ago, and we also work with U.S. companies. The goal is to talk about the scenario regarding the use of drones in Brazil. In Brazil, we have drones that may carry 300 liters of spraying product. We're using this in the center and north of the country, and we have over 20,000 spraying drones in the country. So this is many drones in Brazil. We will have 30,000 drones soon, and this was possible because there is a regulation in the country that sets forth that in order to become a drone pilot, you must receive a 3 days training, and you must. So it's a continuous improvement, continuous learning process, and the Ministry of Agriculture sets forth that all product that may be applied or sprayed by a plane may be sprayed by a drone. So fungicides that could be applied by planes can now be applied by drones, and this provides the legal framework for people to be able to use drones. Of course, we need research to include more information in the labels, but well, this is the situation in Brazil, and the National Aviation Agency, National Civil Aviation Agency of Brazil only asks for operators to register and to register the drones. When we talk about spraying drones and to know about the quality of the spraying, we need research, to do some research that will take into account some parameters. So we need actual results, not fake information. So we need these 4 elements to get quality spraying. In order, we need to do a good spraying with a drone. We need uniformity in spraying. We need to have a good droplet size with the right volume, and we must use the right flying and assessment, good flying equipment and good assessment elements. When the application of spraying is not uniform, we may get this stripes in the field. This shows that something is not okay. So for a drone or a plane, we have this deposit fraction. There is more deposit in the center and less at the ends. So that's why we need several passes, 3 at least, to cover the whole area in a uniform fashion. This is one of the key elements for drone spraying. Those who use drone spraying must understand what we see on the screen right now. And here we talk about total deposit stripe. For example, if I am here, there will be droplets at the far ends up to this point. This is the total deposit stripe, but the effective deposit stripe is not as big, as long. We will have uniformity of the deposits in the center. And let's talk how we can assess this. One of the things we have to take into account to define how broad the stripes should be. In the previous picture, we saw that the application quality was not good. In order to achieve a good application, we need to consider 20% coefficient. In Brazil, we don't use specific cards. We use a string, a kind of string, and this string is used by a spectrophotometer that does an assessment that is much more accurate than the one done using cards. So this is what we did in Los Toldos in Argentina 3 weeks ago with Jose from Alchec. We carried out some assessments comparing planes and drones for spraying. Just an example. This is a spraying done with the drone T50, the pilot, covered stripes that were 8 meters wide, and he wanted to know whether it was possible to use stripes that were up to 11 meters wide. So these are the results we achieved. And, well, we realized it was possible to work with stripes that were 10.5 meters wide with a variation coefficient of 10 point something, which was okay. So 10.5 meter wide stripes were okay. This is the total width of the stripe, and the black line is the effective width of the stripe. An important point is to have it's key to use the right stripe width. Number 2, we must make sure that we have the real drop spectrum and the right volume.
Oftentimes, the information that we have in the drone control is not the same as the information that we really have. This is simple information with a card for the droplet size. We also in Brazil have a laser reader to obtain the real size. So this control gives us the real size of droplets. When we make an investigation with drone, we need to use larger or bigger areas, because if we have a very small area, we will have errors in the volume and the flow rate. Finally, I will quickly refer to trials that we conducted for pest control. For this kind of trial, we need to have the proper tools for this assessment. We work with cover. This card allows us to assess cover, but we also analyze the deposition, which is the concentration of the active principle. It's more precise and more sensitive. For cover and for deposit or deposition. So those of us who work with drone have different concepts of cover for deposition. It's not the same thing. We need to clearly understand this difference. The deposition data are evaluated, assessed in the spectrophotometer. I will show you some results. For contact insecticide, first let's assess the cover and let's make a comparison with drone and with land spraying. Drone 10 liters per hectare, medium drone 10 liters per hectare, fine drone 20 liters per hectare, and land 100 liters per hectare. We can tell that land spraying is better because we have more, we achieve more coverage in the top part of the soybean. In the medium part, lower down the crop, again, land spraying had a larger cover. But in the lower part, also, we achieve more cover with the land spraying. When we work with deposition, the spray deposition for drone was sometimes better, or sometimes it was better than the, or the same or better than the land spraying. The best has been observed in the medium third, the same or better for drone, and in the lower third part, they are quite similar. So that is why it's important to work with the correct assessment parameters. In the control of Spodoptera frugiperda, the control was the same or better with drone for soybean. So final considerations. The trial with drones or the spraying with drones require experience in spraying technology. We need to have uniformity, correct droplet size. We need to consider all those parameters and not only droplets or volume. We need specific results to give the information in the label so the people that work with drones can choose the correct parameters. And also to train teams is something very important. If you are interested in having more information about this topic, we can offer some books. For example, this one, which was launched a short time ago. You can visit our website. I will be with Jose in the Alpa stand. There are some copies of the book. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Fernando, Augusto. So if you can ask questions, the first question comes with Augusto. No estuvo contando.
Sin embargo, en Argentina se ve un retraso.
What you need, what is it that we need so that in Argentina more people buy our equipment? People continue introducing technology. Today, in many places, people know a lot about drone spraying. So we have already experienced the whole season with drones spraying. We have learned from our mistakes, but not only with spraying, but also spraying of insecticides, but rather spraying of fertilizers or with planting. Some people were reluctant to accept this 2 years ago, but finally the people dare use it, and I think that it has been validated by now. But I think that in Argentina, probably the main problem, the main bottleneck is that we don't have enough trained people to drive drones. We need not only to train pilots or drone pilots, but also to train people and spray technology. I think that the grower in Uruguay is afraid of who will drive the drone, but they want this driver or this pilot to be properly trained, for example. I agree with you. I think that the drone is a two-edged sword because it's very easy to use. It's a very easy automated process. You can calibrate the parameters. That does not happen with land equipment, so it's user-friendly. And some mistakes come up, as Fernando was telling at the beginning, but the important thing, in order to scale this up, the important thing is to generate knowledge and to provide training. But on the other hand, the good side of it is that the workers are not in direct contact with the plant protection products. The ideal thing is that the drone equipment, to have a person responsible for organizing and calibrating the machines. And we need a team of people to be well trained, not to be contaminated himself and not to contaminate other workmates, other companions. And the pilot, who's the person who is responsible for managing the flight of the drone, needs to keep distance and remain protected. There was a question about what are the thresholds. What is the validation process, that the validation distance that you consider tolerable? When we consider as much as 20%. But this is considering the system with which we work, because it is a continuous system. So there's no division from one card to the other. So that's why we consider 20%. When we spray a herbicide or a product that needs a very uniform spraying, that is better. Considering measurements, they told us they asked us whether do you use tracers to measure the depositions or deposits. Yes, we can work with tracers. After making an assessment with a spectrometer, we use tracers. I showed you the blue tracer, but we also work with we complete this work with a spectrometer. Regarding the operating width, what would be the winds in kilometers per hour for that? For this kind of work, we work with front wind. That sometimes it is more difficult, headwind. it is more difficult to spray. In Brazil, for a standard spray, the recommendation is to work with winds from 3 to 10 kilometers per hour. If the speed of the wind is very low, it would be recommended for aerial spraying for drones and planes. Regarding the broth of liters per hectare, they said that the ideal is to spray 20 liters per hectare. What's your opinion about pure liquids? What happens with the concentration of active ingredient that we are using or we are spraying with a drone? This is a sensitive issue, difficult issue. There's no single answer to this. In Brazil, it is normal to use with 10, 15, or 20 liters per hectare. In Argentina, I think that they use less. When we work with a lower flow rate, we work with smaller droplets. We have to think in drift. So we need to put in place strategies or to work with better conditions with a coadjuvant, with uniformity. The lower the flow rate, we need to change things. Are you assessing weed control in Brazil for pre-emergent spraying, or what do you consider about the compatibility of mixes or mixtures? Regarding compatibility, there is an issue with water quality. We are working strongly on that. Some colleagues are helping us out. We measure water hardness, water pH. We need to identify the order of mixture, what products can be mixed and which cannot. There are some products that they sort of make the broth compatible, but you have to be very careful. You have to make a test or a trial with a lower rate. When we do this trial, we need to use the same amount of water so we are sure that we are doing the correct things. For drones, sometimes we don't have the correct agitation of the broth, so we are spraying. We have a homogeneous spraying, but after 5 minutes, things start to separate. So this is very important. In Brazil, there is an agitation system that you can buy and use it in the drum in order to produce agitation in the broth. This will help us improve the uniformity of spray, but it is very important to bear this in mind. If the broth is not uniform, you start spraying a product, but at the end of the spraying, you run out of. You don't have you lose uniformity. We will talk about models. What do you see? What is better in the tea T100 compared to the T50. It's what we have been able to observe. It is a very short time that we have it. At first sight, we can say that it has higher capacity, better radars, more flow rate, a better displacement speed, better performance or yield. It enables us to plant grass crops that have high volume. This also would help us to apply urea by rates and not all at the same time. So we see better yield, we have more working capacity. This equipment helps us or allows us to spray, to plant and also to spray fertilizers, and it allows us what are the obstacles around us. This helps the pilot to anticipate what will be the next movement of the drone. In the solid tank, we have a doser or a metering device that helps us have less mistakes.
It's quite a new piece of equipment in Uruguay, just in Argentina. Well, it has been available for a short time, and very soon we'll have more concrete data. I have one more question for you, Augusto. What is the average price or cost of spraying in Uruguay? Which is the average volume? Well, in Uruguay, in agriculture, we use between 9 and 12 liters per hectare. Now that we're talking about mixtures, well, some mixtures that may cause issues, you use 15, 20, or 25 liters in potato, for example. And talking about rates, well, just like in Argentina and Uruguay, there are discussions about this, but the fees we charge, well, that depends on the size of the feed, the complexity of the work, the distance the operator has to travel to get to the plot. We start by $15 per hectare, and in some cases, in forestry applications, we may go up to $30. Could you share some rates? Fernando, are there any organizations, associations of drone operators, or any organization that publishes and has this information in Brazil, Uruguay? In Uruguay, we have CUSA, the Uruguayan Association of Agricultural Services. They set up the baseline price, but for the time being, they don't have a value, they don't have a price for drone spraying. Every time we launch a new drone, the performance improves, so prices change. But with the new models, I believe there will be some price setting. We don't have any price setting yet. There are changes, there are variations depending on the region, the crop, etc. And there's another question here. In Brazil, in the large fields, what kinds of drones do you use? And is there any company or any farmer that has fully substituted terrestrial equipment and are now using drones? The drone I've just shown you, which has a capacity of 300 liters, is used in the Mato Grosso province in very large farms, 5, 10, 15, 20,000 hectares. But they haven't fully replaced planes. They just complement planes. Drones are used during the night, planes are used in daytime, so they work together. In some cases, drones have replaced other methods in sugarcane fields. In the past, in smaller areas, planes were used. Now only drones are used. We can see this in Guatemala, Nicaragua. No, not in Nicaragua, just in Guatemala. But, well, this will be the answer. There is a question here about mixture. What elements are you using to create better mixtures of different products, so that to improve the product's compatibility? There are several compatibility improving agents. Some are better for one mixture, some are better for another. In some cases, these compatibility agents change the pH, they improve the mixture. Some others are surfactants. They improve the interaction between the oil particles, the solids. So there are companies working in this field, but we have good compatibility enhancement agents, but we must know for which mixture we are trying to use a compatibility improving agents. We have 5 minutes left, so I would like to tackle some questions. There are some questions about the business model and the future of this drone spraying activities, but I have another question here. This is a question about the market of second-hand drones. What do you think about the market of second-hand drones? What could you tell us about this? Or how often should drones, or are drones replaced by new ones in Brazil and Uruguay? Regarding second-hand drones, well, we are still trying to find the business model for that niche. But the drones have improved exponentially in capabilities and performance, so that has led to a decrease of the value of the older models. So when the clients have not been able to amortize the equipment, it gets difficult to sell older models. Today we have new models that are sold at the price that is similar to the price of previous releases with twice as much capacity. So I always tell my clients, as the technology is quite new, there are many people who have just one drone. So before selling a drone at a price that is not the right one, maybe you could keep it as a backup piece of equipment should you have an accident with the other drone. If you have a T100 and you used to have a T40, the T40 can still be used in small plots. There are many cases where you can use it, and it's a kind of backup should you have any issues with the new equipment. So I don't have a business model for the reasons I have just described, but we are trying to develop it. Fernando, in Brazil, how often are drones replaced by new drones, and what happens to the older drones? Are they handed in to get a new one, or are they sold? Well, many people don't know how the value of a drone drops in time, and sometimes they are not used any longer because or they keep on using them because they don't have time to buy, they don't have money to buy a new one. In Argentina, we never amortize the drone fully because we usually have to buy a new one because the old one has become obsolete in Argentina. This is my personal experience. The residual value of the old drone is 20 or 25% of the new one. Yes, what Fernando was saying is key. Many people, when they consider the cost, don't include the amortization, so they don't charge enough, so they never achieve the full amortization of the equipment. In our rates, I consider the drone is a fixed asset, fixed cost. I don't consider the battery cycle because it's never fully used up. And in closing, we have just 1 minute left. There are several questions about how long the batteries last. What do you think will happen in the future? What could be a disruptive element regarding batteries? Automatic recharging of the batteries. What do you think the future will bring regarding batteries? I believe that nowadays the performance capabilities are quite interesting, and the issue now is the energy of the drones, which is not enough to make the most out of the drones in many cases. So nowadays, I believe the next step in evolution should be improving the carrying capacity with a battery that is the same size, but which is lighter. I believe this is one of the disadvantages of drawbacks of drones nowadays. Yes, capacity, and I believe that the knowledge of the people who work with drones is another challenge. Training these people, because this technology grows quickly, and we need people who are trained quickly, who are skilled, so to achieve spraying quality and so as to keep the business running. Well, this is the end of the panel, right on time. Let's give them a round.